Hello, welcome. Hello, everyone. Good to see everybody. Let's see, am I recording? Yes. If you can hear me, can you let me know in the chat if you can hear me? That would be so helpful. Great. Thank you so much, Sarah. We're going to wait a couple minutes for everybody to get started. Thank you, Isadora. Welcome to June 2026, everybody. Really grateful to be here with you, and I'm so much more energized than last month, where I was super sick. So glad to be here, glad to be more present, and looking forward to telling you more about June. We're going to wait a few minutes for everybody to get in. Welcome, welcome. Make sure you can hear me. So glad to be here with everybody. Hope you're all doing well. Always a great space to be here in the predictions with you. Everybody, welcome to June. How's it going so far? How's everybody feeling? Hi, Blanca. How was your May? Did that feel intense? Would love to hear about that in the chat as we wait for everybody to show up here today. What was your experience? How was it for you in May? We're going to get started in a couple of minutes. I'm just going to make sure everybody's finding their way on the back end. Give me one moment. All righty. Letting us know if you want to let us know where you're coming in from. That's always great too. We are in Gemini season. We are in so much air. Anybody feeling it? Yeah. Just gonna get us going here. Oh, okay. So Julie can't, no problem, Julie. No problem. Take your time. Everybody else can hear me though, right? We always vary the times of these to capture different people at different time zones, during the weekend, during the week. So I get a lot of folks messaging me afterwards asking about the recording. So it's nice to be here live because you guys can ask live questions, which is always good as well. Hi, Gretchen. I hope you're doing well. Thinking of you. I've seen you in and about social media, so hopefully all's well with you. It's always nice to connect virtually here in these spaces. All right, we'll wait another minute or so and then we'll just get started. Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much. Y'all might hear my 5-year-old in the background yelling. No children are being harmed during the course of these predictions. They just like to sing and be dramatic and play out various things. So just know that. I can always hear it really loud, so I always wonder if you guys can hear it on your end. Make sure my volume's up so everybody can hear me. Well, all right. Welcome to the June Akashic predictions. I just returned 2 days ago from the Association of Energy Psychology conference. Hi, Katya. Thanks for being here to support me. Katya is so helpful. She helps me repurpose these predictions for YouTube. She also helps me tease out some important quotes and share them on the network. So shout out to you, Katya. I appreciate you being part of our little team. So I just got back, as I was saying, from presenting the research for our Akashic research. It went so well. Yeah. Thank you, Isadora. And I can't yet share all the data with you guys because this is a public platform and we're not yet published. And the publishing process takes 2 to 4 months, depending on who you are going to publish with. It involves a peer review process where they review things, they come back to you, they ask you more questions, you revise, you explain yourself. Sounds like a really delightful process, but that's kind of what we're headed into next. And then I will be able to share all of the data and the talks more publicly. But this is an intense season for me, going to Virginia to present, and then next week I'll be at the Social Work Conference. So I just feel really grateful that people are open to my work. And at the Association of Energy Psychology conference, they had to bring in more chairs because there were that many people who not only understood what the Akasha is, but were curious about hearing about its impact in clinical application, therapeutic application. So I feel like there's a buzz in the world. People are more awake than they used to be, and it was a really refreshing experience. So I say all that to say, that I feel like there's some kind of magic in the world around expansive and more metaphysical, non-local interventions. Yes, standing room only, Julie. How did you know? Yes, it was wild, very surprising. I said to a friend, I always expect to do whatever it takes to get there, but I never expect to receive what it feels like to get there. So I think I'm still in shock about how well it went, and I will be able to share over the course of the next few weeks some clips, but I won't be able to share anything from the actual research part, but I will share as many clips as I can to give us some time to kind of organize all of that, and we're happy to share with you. So thank you for supporting our work, and certainly to all the students of Akashic Training who are taking the work out into the world. A couple of updates. I like to do that at the beginning of every predictions. I don't see individual clients in the month of July, so if you're noticing my calendar is a little tighter, it always is this time of the year because we block out a few weeks in July, 3 weeks exactly. So I'm booking like into August and September for any individual appointments. So I apologize for that, but we always have these predictions where you can interact, ask questions, engage, which I think is just as good for thematic energies and for intention and action items. Of course, if you want to go over personal things, it's probably better to do that in a private setting with an individual session. Also in July, we're looking to schedule something called an Astro Week, which is people who are interested in sharing about an expertise in the astrological domain. So if you are interested in participating as a speaker for that, please send me a DM in the network. I'll be sending out an email in the network and onto my newsletter about information about the Astro Week, and it will just give us an opportunity to connect over the summer on themes for 2026 and the next couple of years and various aspects of astrology. A lot of folks have asked me about my references to astrology when I do the channeling in the monthly predictions, so I thought it'd be nice to do like an education around that and highlight other people and their businesses around astrology. So we're working to put that together. So be looking out for those dates and information in the network in the next few weeks. Probably the next couple of weeks we'll have more information for you. So that's what's happening next month. And without further ado, let's get into our predictions. So if you are new or you're catching this on the recording, my name's Candice Rasa. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I'm also an Akashic channel. I educate people on the Akashic records. I can now say I am a researcher. That still feels weird, but it is true. And we have done the first ever study looking at Akashic records and mental health outcomes, and we will be sharing about that in the world. We're starting to do that now and publishing on that, so it's very exciting. When we do these predictions, they are recorded. We do share them in the network and on our YouTube station, so be mindful of your interaction. The chat is not published, but if you ask me questions in the chat when it comes time for that, I'll be answering those questions. So we also always ask that when you ask questions that you frame them in a way that would also honor perhaps the theme or the group, so everybody can get something out of it. And so our flow is usually an open channeling in the Akash, and then we do some card pulling, some oracle cards, which is really nice to be able to kind of ground the information, and then we take questions. Sounds good? Everybody's good with that? All right. And just as a heads up, we typically do go about an hour to an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 20 minutes for everybody who is wanting to time it. You're welcome to kind of note that. Feel free to hop in and out if you need to. So the Akashic Field is a 12th dimensional library. I can't tell you how many people asked me at the conference, hey, Candace, how do you define the Akashic Field? And I said, depends on the audience. If you're our research IRB and in 8th grade language, we say cosmic library. If you're a client, I say 12th dimensional tree of life, remembering, souls remembering, quantum field. If you're at ASAP, I'll describe it as a non-local field because they understand energy there. So, there's a lot of roads that lead to Rome, but there's a feeling state. There's a connection state for those of you who've taken the trainings that you can feel when you're in. So when I do the Akashic predictions for the month, I'm not opening the record of you. I'm opening the record of this next timeline in June. I'm also opening the record of this time space, of myself, and we're looking at essentially what is coming on the horizon, the energetics, the themes, the patterns, and the astrological archetypes. So this gives us a sense of how best to surf the next month. So when you listen to the predictions, I'm going to invite you to be more deeply connected to yourself and be thinking about what's coming up for you when we're talking about all the themes and concepts today. All right, so let's take a moment to ground and center. If you're driving, obviously don't do that, but if you can, let's sync our energy up. No matter where we are, it's always valuable for us to remember that we're in community with ourselves, with the land, with our larger communities, and through these spaces. So take a moment and breathe deeply here. And I like to imagine a wave that comes from the bottom of my feet up to my crown, and then exhaling down again in a continuous flow. And wherever you are, I'd like you to set an intention on what you'd like to receive, perhaps putting your hands on your heart, acknowledging what's important for you, what you want to get out of these predictions today. Beautiful. And I'm going to invite everybody to open their eyes. Coming back into the space. We're going to read the Akashic prayer now. I am that I am, and therefore I am love, and so are you. We are the point of light in the multiverse. We are children of God. We own all our power in remembering that we are one. I now direct divine love to the highest frequency for the highest healing and enter the Akashic field. They open the record of me, all those consenting in this time, space, and land, granted permission from the masters, teachers, and loved ones to transform, uncover, transmute, and recover all that is in perfect love. Aho. The records are now open. Okay. Just going to take a moment, just see where we should start. You know, I feel like I see a waterfall and I feel very watery. Anybody feeling emotional these days? Anybody feeling a little rickety or struggling a bit to name or make sense of emotion, and having that like mental pattern where there's a bit of a separation between the mind and the heart is kind of what is coming forward. And I see this waterfall. Yeah, it's kind of like when the water hasn't reached the bay or the river and it's just sort of about to fall off the cliff. I can feel what the symbol is that's kind of coming in that represents June is sort of like the fast movement of the water and the gap between the space where the water hits the bay or the river. And they're kind of pressing pause for me to like notice that. And, you know, this is such a vulnerable space to do these live predictions because I'm like following along like you are real time and I have no idea what's coming next. I'm just watching the symbol and letting it develop. So I'm seeing this gap. Okay, yeah, and they're going like gap. They're going gap. And now I see all these other types of gaps. I see a gap in the road. I see a gap in someone's tooth. I see this gap. So they're continuing to show me this theme of gap. Where is the gap in your life between your head and your heart? And the water is important because water represents purity. It represents cleansing, clearing. It represents emotion. It represents the sign of Cancer. I hear them say, we understand that there is a strong energetic here of Gemini energy. There's a lot of mental stimulation, curiosity. For those of you who've been feeling like you're buzzing, it's hard to sleep. They said the mind's been really active, particularly in May, because we've had a lot of shifts astrologically of particularly Uranus and Gemini, bringing more buzz in, bringing more change, bringing in more new ideas. But there needs to be in June a closing of the gap. And now I see braces on the teeth. I see construction workers where there's a gap in the road, and I see the water just falling in. And what I love about the water analogy of fill the gap between your head and your heart is sort of this permission to not only allow that to happen, but also to observe it. Thank you. They're saying that the water that comes off a waterfall doesn't need to be messed with. We don't have to force that. It's really for force of nature, right? It's coming. Why? Because maybe there was a movement in the weather. It's a karmic timeline that's come about. It's you know, an opportunity for your soul to finally make sense of things, to integrate things. So they are saying that this month in June is about emotional relationships of all kinds, and that there are beautiful aspects astrologically that are helping with that. I have some key astrological things. I know you guys like that. I tell you like different dates and you can kind of mark that, but I'm going to just stay present right now with the symbols to see what shows up around that. Thank you. Yeah, so they show me that June is in numerology, a 7. This is a 1 year. Anyone who's feeling like scrambled eggs or things breaking down, new things being built up, that's what a year 1 is. You don't have it all figured out. And then each month has their own kind of numerological vibration. And a 7 is reflection, intuition, spiritual inquiry, deeper inner listening, and finding inner sanctuary. Yeah, I think about the symbolism of a waterfall too. It can be aggressive. I think about tears that fall down our cheeks, right? I think about when you spill a glass, the water just goes where it wants. And so there's a freedom in that, right? And there may be some symbolism to like, how can you allow more freedom of emotion? How can you feel more connected to what is and what wants to come forward? I hear them say, someone has pressed the button on the water fountain and the water is coming forward. So again, think about your own relationship with water. And thank you. I'm hearing them say, invite them to reflect on when they acknowledge or think of water, what comes up for them? Is it cleaning? Is it purification? Is it soothing, like a hot bath? Is it tears? Is it emotional processing? Is it a fear? Is it sadness or grief? You know, is it they show me life-giving, like the way you give water to a plant. Really think about what your higher self and your own relationship to water is. I hear them say, why don't you give them a prompt? I said, that sounds good. Give me a prompt to give them, Akasha. And they, okay. So the prompt is, when I allow myself to drink in the archetype of water and I drop it into my heart center, I relate to it in the following ways. And, I hear sensitivity, I hear, emotional body in some way, but I want to invite each of you to have your own experience with whatever that archetype means. I'm listening again to see where they want to go next. Okay, they said, let's talk about the astrological archetypes that are showing up in June. This month, astrologically, has one pretty big event, arguably one of the bigger ones of the year, and that has to do with Chiron. Chiron is the wounded healer. In a classic Greek tragedy story, Chiron is a demigod who could heal everyone else, but not himself. He has a legendary story of evolving into a being that is kind of tortured around his own journey of making peace with his family and some rejection themes. It's a very emotional story, right? And so the story goes that upon his older evolution, he asks the gods in Greece to grant him mortality so that he can experience death and an ending to his suffering. And then he ascends as an asteroid, where he becomes more of a wisdom keeper in a different form in our solar system. And the beauty of Chiron is that Chiron is somewhere in your chart. It is in a house. It is in a sign. And that is where you have this evolution as a evolving person, where there's maybe a sleepiness around maybe a wound. Then there's an activation of a wound. And then there's the transcendence, or the reincarnation of that wound, so that you can become a way shower. And Chiron has a very strange orbit, not like the rest of our other planets. Chiron spins in weird ways, and it's been in Aries, for 8 years. It is now moving into Taurus, okay? And it is doing that on the 19th of June. And if Aries says, who am I? From a place of bold, irreverent adolescence, if Aries says, who am I? Taurus says, I am who I am, right? I am who I am, or I am that I am. Taurus is more the embodiment of the adolescent. Taurus is about connection to your worth, your safety, your money, and your body. So everyone will have an activation in the next few years, and certainly this month, as we feel the shift from Chiron going from Aries to Taurus. For those of you like me, born with Chiron in Taurus, you are the lucky winners of the cosmic prizes, right? And you get to have something called a Chiron return, where it returns to the place of your birth and you revisit original wounds associated with that. However, anywhere that Taurus is in your chart, which everybody has somewhere, will be activated by this. And so that's something to look at in your own frequency. I'm asking what they want to say about that. It is about feeling safe in this world, in our bodies, in our money, and in our relationships, that we matter. So we're going to notice what comes up for us mid-month around the 19th. That's going to be important. Okay, they want me to back up. They are acknowledging that that there's an important relationship healing opportunity the first week of June, particularly on the 9th. You might be feeling it already. Is anyone coming out of the blue to reconcile with you? Are you asking questions like, should I make amends? Or I'm thinking about this painful thing I once went through. There is a Venus and Jupiter conjunction. I always think about conjunctions like a kiss, right? They're kissing, they're having a moment. Venus and Jupiter are giving each other a kiss in Cancer. Okay, so we're talking about emotional clarity, relationship healing, love, belonging, foundness, seenness, harmony, beauty. And a good question for you is, what do I care about right now? Emotionally, what do I care about right now? Relationally, what do I care about right now? That's going to be an important question this week of June. Things may come out of the woodworks. You may find yourself more emotional. You may find yourself wanting to make more peace with past things. That's an important aspect as well. Thank you. They're saying highlight the most important things. So the Venus-Jupiter relational thing early month is really big. I would say the 19th situation with Chiron and Taurus is really big. Notice, because what happens when it changes signs? Usually there's a bit of a whoa, right? Like we can feel it, and we might notice that you can get a sense of what the flavor or the theme will be. And to be honest with you, I always like to be raw and vulnerable because, that's what we're here to do, is I have some lifetimes of not being so safe in my body, of not being so accepted as in who I am. And so my Taurus Chiron is really about feeling like a sense of rejection and a sense of attack or imprisonment, around my safety, my physical body safety. And so, you lose your head sometimes when you say edgy things. And so, not so ironic, just coming back from a place where I was in a public forum talking about my work. I love to talk about my work, and then there's a backstory, right? So just notice the Chiron wound. There's a backstory of is it okay? Is it safe? Is someone going to take me to therapy jail? There's a bit of that, voice. So that's louder for me because I have a birth Chiron Taurus. But when it moves mid-month, everybody here, you're going to have your Taurus part of your chart activated. If you have any other signs, planets in Taurus, you're definitely going to have it activated. So just notice what is the backstory script around that time. But it will help you if you're addressing your emotions. I hear the Akash say, fill the gap from the waterfall to the bay. Make sure you're allowing yourself to have a relationship with your emotional body in June. Thank you. The sun also moves into Cancer on 6/21. So we're going to have a lot of Cancerian energy. We're going to have a lot of watery energy. They're also telling me that the new moon in Gemini on the 15th is a really good time to use your mind wisely, meaning you're using your this Gemini energy to create new ideas. So if you're thinking well, how do I make sense of my emotions and how do I move through this month? They're saying it's a good idea to work with patterns of understanding, maybe doing lists of emotional, unresolved emotional things that you're noticing coming up for you, to create new ideas, to try new things, to study something. The Gemini energy is pretty strong. We have sun in Gemini. We're going to have a new moon in Gemini next week. So there is an opportunity to have a youthfulness, to have a movement, to have new things coming in. So you're going to want to be okay with that. It's okay to read. It's okay to socialize. It's okay to do some brainstorming and write things down, or a bullet journal. That's going to be super helpful. Also, Mars goes into Gemini later in the month, 6/28. So we have a lot of mental, and we have this Cancer energy, water. And so we want to fill the gap. So that's kind of interesting that analogy came out of the Akashic, and that's kind of represented in a lot of the astrology. They said I'm missing something. Okay, tell me about that. Okay, thank you. Yeah. Well, they said that Mercury and Jupiter and Venus, and then later the sun this month, are all in Cancerian energy. So we really are experiencing a lot of that. And it will be that and the Gemini frequency. And we want to embody these kind of 4 concepts, which is emotional truth before external action. Emotional truth before external action. We need to have clarity. We need to close the gap. The mind cannot answer these questions. The heart you can't make sense of it unless you close the gaps. You want to spend some time allowing emotion to show up, and we'll talk about some strategies and activities for that. And you also want to let the mind make sense of it, because the Gemini energy is here to understand, right? It's here to know. Thank you. I'm being redirected by the Akash. They're saying, understand, we don't like that word. That's more of a Sagittarius word. We like the word know, K-N-O-W. We like that word for Gemini. Gemini doesn't necessarily need to have a deep, saturated understanding philosophically of something. They just need to know it. It's to be like, oh, I know that. I'm seeing that. I'm seeing this writing on the wall. So use your mind to say, I'm seeing the writing on the wall. When you do that, you're closing the gap. I hear I'm getting that accurately. I'm checking in there with the Akash. So, these are kind of some pillars for June: emotional truth before external action. Next one is be willing to rewrite inherited stories. Be willing to rewrite inherited stories. I hear them say, invite them all to a reflection of what kind of crazy making is unique to you. What kind of crazy making is unique to you? And that's kind of like when you are at your most shadow self, when you are at your most unwell self, when you are not feeling like you are full of light and love. What's that story, right? Be willing to rewrite inherited stories. And we can use the Gemini mind to say, I see that story. I see it on the wall. What is the emotion teaching me? What would I like? How would I like to be seeing myself? So to use my other example before with my Taurus Chiron, where I have this fear that people are going to come after me and I'm going to be in jail and blah, blah, blah. I think about like, okay, that's a story. How can I rewrite that? Well, the rewritten version of that, not that I believe it, folks, yet. I'm sure after this 8-year new transit in Taurus, I'm going to have to believe it, right? Because that's part of the story for me. But the rewrite of that story could be, I trust that in this time space, I am safe in my body. Right? I trust that this time space, I'm safe in my body. I trust in this time space that I'm safe in my voice. I trust in this time space that people will support me. Right? And so that needs to be the rewritten story to people are out to get you and throw you in jail. Right? So that gets to be rewritten. So pillar number 2, rewrite inherited stories, but use the Gemini mind to say, I notice, allow the emotions to come forward to acknowledge how you feel. All right. So the third pillar is healing, worth, safety, embodiment, and resources. Healing, worth, safety, embodiment, and resources. This is a good month, particularly around the 19th, to notice your relationship with your health, your body, your finances, your home, your safety, your worth. These are all Taurus themes, and that shows up in everybody's chart somewhere. So you want to take an assessment of that, and you want to review, observe, be more honest about that. And then the last theme is going from protection and guardedness to expression and boldness. Thank you. Going from protection and guardedness to expression and boldness. So that's the process and the energy of this month. They said archetypes to look for: the crab. The crab rules Cancer. Think about the crab. Super soft on the inside, very hard shell on the outside. They pinch you. They'll pinch you. The throat chakra is important here. When you see a crab and you spook it too loud, it'll run back into the hole, right? And if you get too close, it'll pinch you. So we want to be focused on recognizing our barriers. And a really good activity this month is maybe you need to retreat. Maybe you need to find a hole somewhere. Maybe you need to give yourself permission to do some self-exploration and to dig a little bit deeper and to understand yourself and spend some alone time. So that's a really good, helpful activity for June. Other archetypes are shells, understanding. I see the Fibonacci spiral in my head. Think about Nautilus. I think about going inward, going deeper, that spiral. So working with sacred geometry or using some sort of mandalas or those mandala coloring books, kind of going inward, letting yourself feel and experience various layers, various depths. That would be a good archetype. Also, obviously, heart and connection and curiosity. Heart, connection, and curiosity. What is arriving for you? Okay, what other things? Okay, they said one grounding ritual that you revisit. One grounding ritual that you revisit. What is a way that you connect to your body? The body is going to be more important again. It's going to be more important because of this Chiron Taurus situation. So develop or revisit a grounding practice. It'll be really good for you. Thank you. I also hear engage your relationship with water. engage your relationship with water, swimming, cleansing, increasing water intake. Very important for this month. Thank you. They said that before we go to our cards, they would like me to engage in a practice that they're offering. They mentioned this when I was writing some notes early on. I like to write down the astrology before I hop on these calls. And there was a suggestion to offer everybody a tool for emotional healing, since we have all this Cancer energy, and also because we have this new Chiron shift. And every time Chiron moves, there's a bit of a wound, activation for some of us. And that's okay. That's what it means to be human. So I'm going to offer you a tool today. It's called Metta. Metta is a Pali word for loving kindness. Metta involves a prayer practice or an intention-based practice, and I'd like you all to join me in a small exercise. I haven't done this in a while in the prediction, so we all get to delight in this exercise. So if you can, of course, again, if you're not driving, if you're willing to close your eyes and take a deep breath. And as you breathe in, I'd like you to call to mind a situation, a person, or a part of yourself that you want to have more love and resolution with. A situation, a part of yourself, or a person that you want to have more resolution and love with. We all have something that we want to bring more love to, that we want to bring more peace to, and that we want to make more integrated. So as you bring that situation to mind, we're going to start with ourself, and you're going to listen deeply to these 4 mantras and say them or recite them in your own head. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, and may I be free. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, and may I be free. Breathing deeper, relaxing your shoulders, letting yourself slump a bit more. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I be free. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, may I be free. And notice how you feel when you recite that. May I be happy, may I be healthy, may I be safe, and may I be free. Whatever resistance you experience, it's okay. Sometimes we forget that the person we need to make peace with most of all is ourselves. So we always start with that. And now I'd like you to imagine a stage. And maybe there's a version of you, there's a mistake you've done in the past, there's a part of your personality, there's something that happened to you, there's a person you're really angry at or upset at. And I'd like you to sort of imagine that on stage right now. And you're not up there with them, you're in the audience, but you're going to allow that to be known now. Whatever you called to mind in our prompt earlier. And it's important that we have a good space and boundary there. So in the front row where you sit, you're going to sort of imagine yourself relaxed in that chair, and you're going to now say to that, may you be happy, may you be healthy, may you be safe, and may you be free. Really opening your heart and imagining your heart just extending to that person, situation, part of yourself, mistake that you made. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you be free. Sipping a breath in again. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you be free. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you be free. And it's up to them or the situation if they receive it. Your job is to emanate it, to neutralize your own relationship with the unresolved, to close the gap between head and heart with active, loving kindness. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. And may you be free. Sipping in a big breath here. Open mouth, exhale, sigh. Coming back into the space, opening your eyes, rejoining us, and noticing the sensations in your body with that particular situation. And if it feels a bit more settled, if it feels a bit softer, if there seems to be more space between you and that density. It's important to have balance. And with all this water energy this month, it's likely that whatever is out of balance will be emotionally visible. And you can put anything you want on that stage when you practice this. And I hope that this is a tool you can use. The full protocol for Metta involves a few different iterations. You're welcome to practice all the versions of that, or this version here. Of course, we'll have the recording. You can always go back and re-listen to that. So aho, and deep bow to everybody who is practicing Metta. And you might notice, guys, where you feel resistance. You might feel resistance to the practice now. You might feel the resistance to yourself. And all of that is okay, but it's a sign that we need more loving kindness, right? Okay, I'm going to do the oracle cards. We're going to transition into that really quick, and then we're going to ask questions. You're welcome, Anna. You're welcome, Sarah. Amy, really glad to offer that tool to you. You know, and this is important because, you know, I hear the Akash saying, when we have something we obsess over, and when we have something that we're struggling with, we tend to loop it around the roller coaster of the mind. And we really need to activate the heart, and in a practice that creates integration opportunity, that creates warmth and softness and expansion. And so sometimes we can't just solve these things by thinking them, right? And so energy can shift much more quickly when we're engaging a loving kindness practice or a heart-centered practice. Okay, the deck that I've used is the deck called, it's by Autumn Sky, and she is an artist. This deck was gifted to me by a friend. Thank you, Sarah. And so the first card is the situation. If you've never seen me do the card pull, it's really helpful. It grounds everything. I pulled the cards 2 minutes before we started today, so I didn't write any notes, so we're just going to go with the flow. But the first card is this image. Look at that. And so the cards, like the situation for June, is kindness. Kindness. And I'm going to read the back. Live with integrity. Be fiercely tender. Listen to your inner child. I love this. Protect what you cherish. And it's okay to care deeply. I feel like we've pulled this card in a previous predictions. I don't know if you guys remember it, or it's just familiar to me somehow. But kindness, live with integrity, be fiercely tender. Very Cancerian, by the way. Look at those tears. She looks very emotional. She's very tender, okay? Protect what you cherish. It's okay to care deeply. So this month, we want to be kind to ourselves. We want to be tender. We want to be mindful of honoring what is sacred. Protection is definitely a Cancer word. Definitely a Cancer word, right? Going to the whole, the outer shell, protecting this what's soft. Remember, the goal is to go from this like guardedness protection to more of a bold expression, being able to understand after closing the gap, our emotional pieces. The second card is the block we may feel in June. And I want you to trust yourself and what kind of your intuition tells you as these cards are being pulled and how this may show up for you. But the block here is the liberation card. So when I think about the opposite of liberation, I think about being imprisoned. I think about being trapped. And so where are we trapped? Where are we in prison? Where are we enslaved? Where are we struggling? So this card says you are free. Let go of limitations. Emancipate your spirit. Clear your mind of burdens. You are held in grace. I would love to ask you, I hear the Akashic say, what is holding you back? Right? In your spirit of tenderness and kindness and being fiercely tender, where you are caring very deeply, what is holding you back, right? What is holding you back in that? So the solution to the limitation is this card, which is the equanimity card. We just talked about balance. Equanimity card. And this card says, balance your emotions. Look, literally the first statement there. Balance your emotions. Avoid polarizing beliefs. Be willing to change your mind. I think about Gemini energy when I hear be willing to change your mind. It's not about deep truths. It's just about knowing the writing on the wall, right? Being willing to explore different options. Cultivate inner peace and neutrality. And seek new perspectives, also a Gemini word, to deepen understanding, a more Sagittarian, more saturated perspective, but new perspectives, right? Gemini, stay compassionate. Also, I love that she's doing like her hands are crisscrossed. They're like this. She's balancing. She's got one thing over here. She's got something else over here that also feels very dualistic, like the Gemini energy. She don't look very stressed out, guys, right? Look at her face. She's like, I've got this, right? I may feel like I'm struggling with accepting peace. I'm feeling, a need for more liberation, and maybe I'm feeling limitations or fears in myself or in relationships or what's possible. And it's very hard to honor the kindness that I need for myself, or it is challenging to protect what is cherished. But I can break through that by continuing to work with my own balance of emotion and my own willingness to change my mind and try new ideas and seek kind of an acceptance. I think about that word acceptance with the duality, with the equanimity. Equanimity is a really powerful word in Buddhism. I've read it many times. And the way they describe it is sort of like not necessarily needing to choose what's right or wrong or what's good or bad, but in the acceptance of the whole and the awareness of the polarities that exist, but the acceptance of the whole, which does not mean an acceptance of what is unkind. What is unkind in the world. It just means an acceptance of what is, right? So there's a lot of that practice that's available this one. That's the solution anyway, is to work with balance. And then the outcome, this is like the outcome of June if you do it right, is prayer. So this is a divinity card. And the message here is ask for help, practice authentic prayer, connect with the angelic realms, trust in a benevolent universe, and notice subtle confirmations. Have faith. I think about this card as follow the signs, engage your tools, engage your divinity practice. So, how can we work towards a more holistic version of ourselves is we need to work with our spiritual connection. When I was at the ASAP conference, I spoke very deeply about the power of consciousness. When we bring consciousness to a wound, when we bring consciousness to the heart, when we bring consciousness to a situation, we are no longer viewing it from the singular perspective of our nut self. What is consciousness? Consciousness is our capacity, as Dan Siegel would say, to step into the plane of possibility, a place that supersedes our personality, our temperament, our wounded self, a place like a skyscraper or a penthouse or an airplane where we can see down. And we can imagine the whole picture, and we can see more with the eyes of love. And in this plane of possibility and in this consciousness, we have more balance, right? We have more liberation and we have more tenderness. So we want to allow ourselves to enter a state of prayer more directly, a state of divinity, connection, whatever that means to you, so that you can connect to a version of your mind, your higher self that feels more safe. Dare I say, a part of your mind that even rises above, like the ascended asteroid Chiron. Not the demigod Chiron struggling with his wounds, but the asteroid Chiron, the way shower, the one who understands more. Okay, so that happens with prayer this month. Okay, I'm hearing a ding, 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 you know, from the Akash on like kind of ending this oracle pull and being available to transition to any questions or thoughts that you have about this. I'm happy to spend, you know, a few minutes receiving. So if anybody is wanting to share your thoughts, if anyone's wanting to share your questions, I'm happy to receive them. It is fantastic art, right, Jeanette? I do think so too. Autumn Sky is the author, artist, Autumn Sky. She does, that doesn't come with a book. It's so, because all the information's on the back. So this is what you get. They are beautiful cards. Yeah. So how's everybody feeling about this? What's coming up for them? What questions do you have? I already hear the Akash say they're going to ask about concrete steps on how to embody this. And they said, go back to that section. I don't know if anyone's going to ask that. But I'm going to remind you, retreat, inner retreat is good. Swimming, being in water, having a relationship with water, looking at spirals, doing coloring, working with sacred geometry, anything that brings you to your inner self, and having one grounding ritual that you can practice and you can stick with this month. And remember, metta. Remember metta. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. That is a Taurus word, right? May I be safe and may I be free. May I be free. So you do that for yourself. Do that for a situation where there's fragmentation or separation, and bring that into your experience. Okay. Where are the questions? How are you guys doing? How is this landing? I'm always like imagining I'm in a small circle around a fire, or maybe it's a waterfall today, and we're just chatting together in this intimate way. But really, the reality is I'm also just talking to myself on a computer screen. So it's helpful when you share, because then I can get a sense of what's happening. So let me see here. How are we doing? Hi, Louise. Good to see you. Oh, I know meta is so beautiful. It's really helps me to navigate my own fear, and also helps me to navigate situations where I feel charge or conflict with people. Okay, Melanie is going to be traveling internationally from June 9th to 19th. Woo! It's been a long time coming and an emotional test. All right, Melanie. So this is perfect timing. I love when things kind of work out that way. You know, you couldn't have planned them and they just work out. So it must be a really important time for you. And you know, the Venus, Jupiter, that's the most favorable placement, guys, I'd say, is the June 9th. Venus and Jupiter kissing in Cancer. It's like, we're talking relationships, guys. We're talking harmony and emotional relationships. So there's something wants to heal. Something wants to be acknowledged emotionally. So just acknowledging that. Oh, Hillary, thank you so much. Always so grateful for you. Thank you for being present for me and for lifting me up in all the ways and seeing me deeply in all the ways. I appreciate you. Hillary was recently at ASEP as well, and she's a great supporter of my work in the world and in the clinical world, academic world. So I'm just so grateful. Becky, traveling internationally too. All right, Becky, gotta love that. Oh my gosh, another person, Gina, I'll be traveling to Redwood Forest from 16 to 21 to get grounded and celebrate my birthday. Wonderful. Happy birthday to all the Geminis out there, right? And then around the 21st, also happy birthday to the Cancers, but it's Gemini season. Gretchen is acknowledging she knows a lot of women who aren't feeling good in their bodies. That's true, including myself. Lots of pain, depression, not knowing how to support myself and others. Yes, honoring that, breathing into that. And you know what's happening here is we just had Uranus was in Taurus at 29 degrees in mid to late April. And I know a lot of people, including myself, actually went to a chiropractor that I did a kind of a one-off chiropractor, and they dislocated 3 of my ribs in April. And that was when Uranus was at 29 degrees Taurus and before it went into Gemini. And I've noticed that all this air energy has created and figuring out how to get back in our bodies, how to, for me personally. And I just want to validate and call solidarity to your experience, Gretchen. And also, I think now that we're going to have Chiron move into Taurus, there's a healing. We're entering a healing season. That's what Chiron really is, right? So we've had maybe this 29 degrees in Taurus, last minute, we got to address your health stuff. Uranus is like, bam, Thor's lightning. And now we're all kind of shaken up a little bit, maybe, right? Or having some kind of dysregulation. And now Chiron comes along and says, don't worry, I'll help you with that. There's maybe a wound here. There's maybe some shamanic clearing here. And there's ascension here. There's ascension here, like the asteroid. And that's going to be, I'm not sure how long this next Chiron cycle is going to be in Taurus, but it was 8 years in Aries. It might retrograde back and forth a bit, back into Aries again. We'll see what happens. But we want to be attuning to the body for sure. So thank you for speaking to that and honoring that. Yeah. Let's see. I have more questions here. These are going great. Okay. Julie's validating that. Yeah. Besides water, waterways are best to be in our bodies and cleanse both physically and energetically. Okay. Well, I hear like working with the energy body is important. So if you have like an acupuncturist or a Reiki practitioner, or you do your own sort of tapping or connection to body, like what is your relationship to that? And that would be very helpful for you. I thank you. I keep hearing grounding, like a grounding practice, like something that you're doing that maybe is sweaty, that helps you release energy. And they show me sweat because of water, right? So sweating and releasing salt and water. So hopefully that's helpful, Oana. Okay, Sarah, I'm being brave and opening a very public offering, and my wound around worthiness is coming up. Oh boy, yes, that sounds like Chiron. That sounds like Taurus. Questions like, if I fail, what does that reflect in me? I am also a Chiron and Taurus. Oh, girl, solidarity. And a Taurus sun. All right, girl. So all of the guidance around grounding and filling the gap of my mind and my heart is so helpful. You're welcome, Sarah. Well, we are all in this together, right? We're all in this together all the time. Okay, so Melanie says, I forget how you phrased it, but can you speak more about being in that pause space or in the in-between? My entire family seems to be in that pause between what appears to be pretty dramatic change for each of us in our own ways. Between now and the months of August and September, it seems. Having to be still and wait for the full picture to manifest makes me antsy. Yeah, so what's coming up just when I'm leaning into the channel and saying, what part of my talk is she referring to, and or what guidance can I offer her? They are showing me the gap between the water and the bay, and sort of like you don't have to force anything, you just have to be present, and you have to engage in surrender and permission. There's a sense of getting more out of it if we are slowing down, we're getting still, we're retreating. They also show me, one moment, yep. So they're acknowledging the numerological year of 1 and this year, and how like there is just, it's not going to be clear, guys. Like there's been a deconstruction. We've had like major astrological shifts, Neptune and Saturn and Uranus, and now Chiron, like planets that don't really move signs all that often. We're talking 14 years, don't like often have been made moves since January. Okay. So if you're feeling dysregulated, you're feeling a bit like a snow globe, you're starting new things, all of that tracks with the energy available now. And these predictions are intended to support regulation and connection to source in a larger way, right? So if you're struggling, we have to find ways to be still. We have to find ways to connect to our body. We have to find ways to develop self-care routines. And I'm going to use these words because they're Taurus words, right? Self-care routines, body, simplicity. But there's just going to be a gap. Like this idea of like, I'm watching the waterfall fall. Like, what can I do? Can I make sense of it? Can I capture it in a bucket? Can I prevent it? Can I make sure I understand it? No, it's just going to rush over the side. So we have choices. We can look away, we can be in denial, we can like stand under it and be clobbered, right? Like we want to just I hear Pema Chodron, a Buddhist teacher, we want to hold compassionate abiding. And maybe we put our own antsiness, Melanie, onto the stage and offer it metta, right? Maybe we do that. Okay. Amy's here saying, in my reading, you had me to connect to the energy of the Hathors. I just re-listened to it on YouTube. Oh, highly recommended for women to reconnect to the power of sensual selves and bodies. Thank you so much, Amy. Love that resource. It's one of my favorites. I appreciate your support of the community and bringing that forward. Thank you so much. Hi, Rebecca. She says, I've been standing barefoot in the yard in the morning and singing to nature. That sounds delicious. To ground and give thanks to the earth and be in gratitude. That is beautiful. That is beautiful. You know, I've been really into my shaking plate lately. It just helps me just reconnect to my body. I'm not in my body that much doing this work. And it's been talking, right? Hence my 3 dislocated ribs. My body's like, we'll help you get back in. How about you can't take a deep breath or cough or sneeze or eat without being in pain? Listen to us. Listen, right? So I've been doing so many more things. I've been engaging my body in ways that I've never engaged my body before, with more intensity and more love and more presence and more routine, which is a Taurus word, okay? Kayla, looking at taking some risks, a lot of risks in my career this next month. Go, Kayla. You are a Gemini energy, right, Kayla? So you have a lot on your side right now. Gemini energy is abound. It feels right in my heart, but having a lot of fears come up around stability and feeling safe, especially financially. Yep. Could you speak more to this? That is a Taurus wound. That is definitely a Taurus wound, dear one. So how can we feel, I'm just going to kick it up to the Akasha. How can we feel more safe financially? How can we feel more safe financially? The Akasha, they show me like a conductor at an orchestra and they go ding, 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 like listen up, right? Like they're going to say something important. So I see that. They said money is a flow of water that is created organically by the well of worthiness inherent to your authentic recognition. So money flows off the river, waterfall, as a material, visual, concrete reflection with passion. Because your belief in your worth, and they said, how much is somebody worth financially? They show me these, so-and-so's worth $1 billion. So-and-so's worth $1.2 million. They're like, the idea of what you're worth is represented by a catapult of your passion. So if you believe in worthiness, but you're not taking any action and you don't have a passion, well, then you have a worthiness, but it has no driver in the car. Thank you. They're saying, think of worthiness like the engine. Think of you driving that car in the engine from a place of purpose. So your purpose is driving the car, your worthiness is the engine, and you need each other. Your car's not going to drive itself, right? Your purpose is not going to go anywhere without worthiness, and the worthiness can't get anywhere without purpose. And they're just telling me they have to work together. And so in order to overcome financial fears, we want to back it up and connect to, do I feel worthy to have a piece of the pie on this planet? Is there enough to go around? Am I allowing myself to not feel guilty or ashamed to have abundance? That I am worthy of that love from the divine space, and that when I agree to that, I unconsciously give permission for other people around me to agree to that, right? And Am I worthy? And here's the second question. We're just going to talk about the vehicle driver analogy, and staying with that. What am I passionate about? What do I truly care about? That's a question that came up earlier. Emotionally, what do I care about, right? What am I passionate about? Because if you pair that I'm passionate about Akashic Records and I feel worthy to birth it into the world, the Akash is going, nobody's going to stop you. The quantum field is like, and so it is. The quantum field is just, giving you the green light. So it's, you want to be mindful, I hear as well, of walking through the doors that open. And and thank you, I said, thank you so much. They're saying a good exercise for all of these folks is to do a little self-reflection, maybe in a crab hole, right? Because we're in Cancer energy, of when was a time in my life where I felt like I was bumping my head a million times on everything and things were not going well. And when was a time in my life when the doors were magically opening. They said, notice what your connection to worthiness was and your connection to your passion or your purposes. So they said, pay attention to those two. When I'm even asking you the question, memories are flipping through my head of those seasons in my life. Like when I tried to be a lawyer, that was very bumpy. The doors were opening. I worked really hard. I experienced a lot of suffering, right? It wasn't where I was supposed to be going in my life. So they said, notice that as well. That will be helpful. And, Chiron Taurus, guys, will help us resolve some of these financial issues. I hear, by the way, Kayla, it's a great time to take a risk. That's what the year ones are all about. May you go with the spirit of a wild horse and with a full heart, Kayla. Oh my gosh, everybody is saying the same thing. They're acknowledging a resonance with this information. Okay. So then I'm glad, because I just scrolled down here, because I get into a channeling space. I just scrolled down and now I'm seeing everybody validate that. So it feels like this is important for a lot of us to experience. She said, is this a paused space, the lead up to the line of planets? I don't know if I call this as much pause space. I call it like emotional resonance, maybe. June is an opportunity for more emotional clearing, emotional resonance. There is a more intense astrology. It cautious kind of like, aren't we desensitized to that a little bit? Like, it's just an intense time, right? Every month is like, what's intense this month? How does it help me, right? Well, it helps me. It can help us by knowing these windows so that we can focus more on our self-care, and we can slow down and we can do less, right? So yeah. All right, people are doing some amazing mic drop moments. Great. If someone said to me, please say everything you just said again in verbatim, there would be a 0 out of 100 that I could do that, because it's channeled information, and we'll have to catch the recording. I'll have to catch the recording because I felt like it was important. So I'll want to make sure I receive it too. How can we overcome self-sabotage, says Oana, when it comes to accepting that we are worthy of all of this abundance? I hear the Gemini energy marching in. We want to notice sabotage. I hear them say, we underestimate, Akashic record keeper is really clear, we underestimate the power of observation. As soon as we're observing, we're not in it. As soon as we're observing, we're depersonalizing from it. And so when you notice that you aren't feeling worthy of the abundance, they said, first you got to be like, I'm worthy. And then when you start to notice that you don't feel worthy, they said, oh, notice the worthiness. Notice the worthiness. I hear investigate the worthiness. Have tea with the worthiness or lack thereof. Breathe with it. I'm hearing that the Mark Wolin book, It Didn't Start With You, is relevant here, particularly because Cancer is connected to mother. It's connected to emotion. It's connected to the mother wound. And there's a lot of really powerful stuff he does in his book, It Didn't Start With You, around ancestral and epigenetic energetic transference of trauma. And there's a lot of great journal prompts in there if you want to do deeper work around unworthiness. And this is the month to do it. This is kind of the space to do it. So they're saying that resource could be helpful as well if you're struggling with sabotage. And I hear meta's good for that, Oana. Maybe pick a version of yourself that feels most unworthy, or a time in your life that feels unworthy, and put that person on the stage and offer meta. Yeah? Okay. So Vivian says, knew I was hopping on for only like 10 minutes, but this is so wild how much it's resonating. Oh, I'm so glad, Vivian. Yes, that's great. Okay, great. Did I get all the questions here? Because my stroller sometimes doesn't. Oh, here we go. We got more. All right. Everyone can still hear me. I just got a notification that my computer is having trouble running voice isolation. So just making sure everybody can still hear me. I think so. Maybe a thumbs up or something. Okay, we'll see if people are hearing me. I'll just keep talking, and someone will let me know if they hear my voice is moving. My lips are moving, but my voice is not. But okay, let's keep going. Okay, good. I got a thumbs up. Thank you. Gina, anyone else feel that there are or were more doors closed than the new doors open for you? I had this huge discouraging energy the last few weeks that made me question whether I'm doing the right thing. Because what's meant to be should be easy and smooth. That is true, Gina. Can Akashic talk a bit about this energy and how to navigate? You know, I find that painful. I find like the door slam or the unexpected door that doesn't open really painful myself. Feels like an opportunity to watch and observe more. Feels like an opportunity to retreat, Gina. I keep hearing them say, go into a bear cave and sleep for a bit. You know, really reflect on what matters to you. Ask your higher self what is coming forward. And so this, I hear them say, like, notice the writing on the wall. Notice and note which direction life is taking you in. You can't get it wrong. And what needs to happen, thank you. And what needs to happen here is grief. What needs to happen here is release and surrender. So when doors don't open, to really sit with that a bit more. Okay. Vivian is saying, I missed most of the messaging today, so if this is already addressed, forgive me. The question is there any planetary stuff to be aware of around the summer solstice or practices to consider? Yeah, so there are some things that are connected to the Chiron Taurus 619. And then there's a Venus, Jupiter earlier in the month. And all of the practices that we spoke about that are super helpful involve a lot of water stuff, Vivian, particularly grounding and rituals to your body, being connected to waters. You know, they're showing me like salt water, obviously, or activated water, like water from a natural lake or a natural resource would be even better than like your bathtub, because there's this opportunity to just allow ourselves to merge. I read an author once that says it's always good, it's a poem, it's always good, I'm botching it, to cry in the bathtub so that your tears can merge with the water and be held and kept sacred and be transformed into something new, right? And so water engagement becomes an important theme. Thank you for telling me you can hear me. Okay, Awana's saying this is all resonating deeply. I have placed an intention at the beginning of the session and it seems like all my questions are answered. Look at that! And smooches to you, Julie. I don't know if you popped off, but lots of smooches. Sorry, I missed that. I love a good smooch. My daughter loves a smooch too. Every time she comes in, she's like, where's my smooches? I need 15 smooches. So I love that word. So I'm so glad that you feel connected to all this, Awana, and that you're relating to it. Miley's asking, can you speak to the ending of relationships in this time? Yeah, you know, we didn't speak so much about endings, but that would be appropriate. That would fit in alignment with what we're seeing this month. You know, as available, the Cancer sign is the sign of heart, of home, of you know, love, connection, emotion. I see a lot of that sensitivity, and we have you know, the Venus Jupiter kiss that's happening on the 9th. Maybe a return or a relationship harmony with yourself. And let's just say we're on a path that's not going well, or we're on a path where we recently had an end in a relationship. This Venus-Jupiter conjunction would be saying like I asked the Akasha, can I go out on this limb? They're saying, go out on the limb, girl, go. Because I always check to make sure I'm getting that accurately. And they're saying if a relationship has just ended or will end or is ending this month, it is the universe telling you that the relationship with yourself is far more important than the relationship with that person, or that that person is not able to honor what you deserve in that relationship, which is okay. Sometimes it's high conflictual, sometimes it's not. But if there is a relationship ending, it is the higher self and the universe showing you that your relationship to yourself is more important right now. How can we have a Venus-Jupiter conjunction? A conjunction is typically a positive aspect. It's a kiss. To have that in Cancer means harmony's happening. And guess what happens? Sometimes things fall apart and they become more harmonious. Not really in the moment. There's probably a lot of crying of tears that need to merge with water, right? That's also real. But honor the higher consciousness. I hear them say, honor the higher order at play here. The higher order. I hear them say, getting that accurately. Okay. So I am here to take any more questions. We're going to wrap up. Any final questions? I also want to remind you that I do offer Akashic training. I want to shout out to everybody in Module 1 right now. I'm working with a cohort of 29 beautiful souls in Akashic training right now. And I do Module 1 a year right now, just because I have four different levels, and we do one every semester, or season, probably a better way to say it. And I can't do more than that right now because that's just a lot as I'm trying to get our research published. So right now we have Module 1. We will be offering Module 1 if you want to learn how to read your record. Next year, we will be unveiling Module 4 this fall. That is the final level in our training. Module 4 is about understanding how to open the record of land, of time, of groups, of communities for more world and global change, more multidimensional change, deeper change. And so it's really a really beautiful ending to the series. So that will happen in the fall. We also are penciled in for Module 3, given we have enough folks in late summer, August as well. And yeah, that's the heads up on that. I'm so glad that everybody is it possible to get on a notification list? So if you want to know about my Akashic training, I would recommend that you join my newsletter. So if you go to my website, there's like a pop-up that says join the newsletter. I always send emails there. And if you're in the network, I notify you guys before I notify anyone else as well. So that'll be good. Yeah, so lots of folks here giving their comments. So grateful to be here. What we do before you hop away, what's really, really nice, that I believe has value, is tell us your takeaway when you speak it. Well, you're probably not speaking it. Maybe you're speaking it, but when you're typing it into the chat, you are allowing it to be vibrated and amplified in your own mind. You are also allowing yourself to be seen and honored, and for us to hold you in that space. So I'm inviting you to share with us the takeaway that you're going to bring with. And if you were new to this tonight, I'd love to know that. We have all kinds of people coming in and out of these predictions, but I'd love to know that as well, and welcome you. But as you're walking away, what are you taking? Given everything you've heard, what is your heart telling you to receive? So I'm going to be honoring all of that. Oh, Leslie, welcome. Welcome. I hope you had a good experience tonight. Oh, I'm so glad, Melanie, the waterfall. Okay. Diane's saying she is worthy. Thank you so much, guys. These are great. So everybody's writing their takeaways so they can be seen, they can be received as we're closing. We're identifying my passion, which seems to be lost. Water, water. Ooh, my heart is saying that I am more important than the relationship is ending. Woo, Julie, I can feel the chills on that one. All things for my highest good. Aho, grief, release, letting go. Katya, I'm looking at where the gap is between my head and my heart, allowing myself to stay compassionate. Very good. By the way, we use the benefit of AI from these predictions to create all sorts of great graphics for you. And so, yes, Leslie, there will be a replay. We repost recording, but we also pop the recording into Notebook LM, and we create what can only be described as a very cosmic PowerPoint presentation for you and a one-page takeaway. So it will summarize all of this, and we will repost that as well. So every month now, not only do you get the recording, we do the other two pieces. They're always free. They're always on the network, so you can look out for them in the next, we usually get the recording out within a day, and then the AI piece will be within the week. Okay, so other takeaways. Oh, Anna, you're so sweet. Thank you so much for your blessings. Honor the relationship with yourself rather than those. Okay, beautiful. That's really, and follow my passion with a full heart. Sarah's acknowledging that she's taking away, filling the gap and practicing grounded. You know why I like the AI tool? Because the visuals matter. I don't think it's a full substitute for the vibration of the words in a transmission of Akashic channeling, because I do believe that the words that come through the Akashic channel have a vibrational elevation. But if you can listen to the recording and then you look at the AI tools that or visuals that we give you, the visuals they give, like they're, they usually use the symbols because the AI will hear my symbols in the Akash, because I use a lot of symbols, and then it will create visuals. And I think that amplifies the information. So make sure you do both if you'd like. Megan is saying lots of opportunities coming up for healing, Chiron and Taurus as well. Okay, Megan, solidarity, but in the 9th house, so higher learning, knowledge, a higher version of yourself. All right, Megan, so it seems like there's going to be some expansion there. More motivated to take care of my body and bring in healing around family and belonging. Great. Permission to be a crab this month. Yeah, Emily, woot woot. And Maggie, really appreciate the reminder of our worth and giving our bodies nourishment and rest. Lots of my chart is activated. Okay, that's okay, Maggie. So we're with you, Taurus, Chiron, and Jupiter. All right, Cancer Moon. Lots of love to you guys. I will see you in the in-between spaces. We will be sharing updates. I appreciate your support and your flexibility. We're going to be streamlining the network a little bit more. We're going to be focusing it more just on Akashic information, how to connect to the Akashic field. We should have the Alpha training or Alpha live program up before the year is out. We did a pilot of that earlier in the year. It's called Alpha State Training, how to help your brain be in a receptive state. It's really good if you're planning to take module 1 at some point. I'd recommend that. We did a really awesome free community event. I got great feedback. I did it to kind of hear more about people's experiences. If you search Alpha State in the network, you'll see not only feedback and recording, but you'll see the actual content of what we reviewed. And so we're doing our best to shift as much as possible and help streamline the network. So it's been a little quiet in the network because I've been working really hard on the research and I've had to do that. But our goal this year is to continue to streamline it. So I appreciate you guys hanging in with me and supporting my work and sharing it in the world. It's my mission to be able to invite as many people into this space as possible, and to empower you to connect to that version, all versions of yourself, not just the one in this time and space. I'm honoring each of you. I'm sending you lots of love and lots of smooches. Okay, Julie, we're sending the smooches out, and you guys have a good month, and let me know if you have any questions. See you soon. Thank you so much, Maggie. Oh, there's the smooch. We got the smooches. Have a good night, everybody.